Kenya and China is 62 years old. In fact, it is documented that China was the 4th country to recognize Kenya as an independent state only 2 days after independence. And it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes of the strength and depth of the relationship between Kenya and China. My visit here underscores that solid foundation built over many years to cement the relationship between our country and China. As you are aware, China has been instrumental in matters, infrastructure, and general development in our country. We have built the standard gauge railway, 600 kilometers from Mombasa to Naivasha, with a partnership of China. We have built the Lamu port that now has 3 berths that are complete with the support of China. We have built the Nairobi Expressway that today facilitates the journey from the airport to the CBD, a journey that sometimes would take up to 2.5 hours. Today, it takes between 10 and 15 minutes. And with China, we have also built the Thika superhighway, a piece of infrastructure that we have now extended from Thika to Kenol all the way to Maroa in Nyeri. And we are in discussion on many other aspects. I know many people here know that some of the roads to rural Kenya have been built with technology and companies supported by this country. And so we have a robust relationship between Kenya and China. And my visit this time round, being the first head of state to visit after the FOCAC meeting last year, speaks to the value China attaches to Kenya and the friendship that exists between our 2 countries. And we all know that there is a lot happening today globally. And sometimes people ask, and they ask me, is Kenya facing east to China, or is it facing west to the US? And I have answered that question that Kenya is neither facing east nor west. We are facing forward. And we want to build mutually beneficial win-win relationships with as many friends as possible. And my mission here this time round is to discuss, amongst many things, how we can invest in the future, not just of Kenya, but of our region, with support and partnership of friends like China and others. I have already had conversations on investment opportunities. Many people get worried that we are only discussing loans and credit and things like those. I want to tell you that we are becoming more innovative in how to finance development. There are new instruments that can enable us deliver on public infrastructure using private resources and technology. And thus, that is the kind of conversation we are having with both the public and the private sector in China. We are having a conversation, for example, on how to develop the Rironi-Mau Summit Road, making that road a 6-lane piece of infrastructure from Nairobi to beyond Nakuru. That discussion is among the discussions we are having with both the public and private sector here. And it is my belief that we should be able to begin that construction between June and July this year and take it to its logical conclusion. Beyond Mau Summit, we should be able to take it all the way to the border in Malaba. That is the request I have from the people of Kenya, and we are actively working on it. We will also be concluding discussions on the development of road infrastructure. I was here last year, and we signed off on 2 billion RMB facility that will help us conclude some of the roads in Kenya. We will be discussing investments in other areas of water and how we can leverage the private sector to drive that development of infrastructure. That is why I have officials from the Ministry of Water here. We will be discussing interventions on connectivity between Kenya and China, discussing the connectivity in terms of direct flights between this country and Kenya. Very importantly, we will be discussing trade. As you are aware, we have trade that is growing between our two countries. In fact, statistics show that we are all the way to $8 billion of trade between Kenya and China. Our concern as Kenya is that that trade is not balanced. And it is the conversation we are having. And tomorrow, we will be signing a framework agreement on the economy and trade. And that framework agreement is going to give us the opportunity to discuss a bilateral trade agreement between Kenya and China. And I just had a meeting this afternoon with the Prime Minister, and he agreed with me that that trade needs to be balanced. As you are aware, Kenya is importing close to $4.5 billion of goods and services from China. And yet, we are exporting only about $200 or $250 million. I mean, in Kenya shillings terms, we are exporting about 30 billion shillings to China and importing 600 billion shillings from China. That kind of relationship, we all agree, is not sustainable, is not balanced, and therefore needs a thorough conversation. It is one of the pertinent issues that I have come to sign off the agreement, because immediately we are going to discuss on how we can bring down the barriers on market access by Kenyan tea, Kenyan coffee, Kenyan macadamia, Kenyan avocado, and all other Kenyan products into this country. It is the most feasible way for us to balance trade. As you are all aware, our tea and coffee are premium products globally. In fact, Chinese companies admit that Kenyan tea and coffee is premium coffee, but today it is subjected to tariffs, and that is what impedes the export of our tea and coffee and macadamia and avocados to this country. And the discussion we are going to have is how we can have a preferential trade agreement that gives Kenya preferential access, the same way we have a AGOA that gives duty-free, quota-free access for our goods to the US. The discussion we're going to have is that of a duty-free, quota-free access to the Chinese market for our products. That way, we can export more to this country, export better products, and we're going this time around to be exporting processed agro-products into this market. I am very happy that we have made tremendous progress in this pursuit. I remember when I appointed Willie Bett here, my assignment to him was we must open the Chinese market. I am happy that now the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Investment is aligned. And I came here with Lee Kinyanjui, CS responsible, and his assignment is clear, that by the end of this year, we must have a preferential trade agreement between Kenya and China that will give us market access for our products. In fact, immediately we sign the framework agreement tomorrow, Lee Kinyanjui and team might remain behind to make sure that they progress the conversation towards a preferential trade agreement shortly. And so I am very happy to be in this great city, and I want to congratulate all of you, whether you are students or professionals or business people, for daring abroad and doing what you're doing in China, either sharpening your skills in schools, colleges, and universities, or you are deploying your knowledge and expertise in the professional space here in China